The apocalypse does not begin with trumpets, flames, or beasts rising from the darkness. It begins in silence, a silence that seems to breathe as if the world itself were about to utter a word forgotten since the foundation of the earth. Imagine an endless desert where the wind drags ancient secrets. Now imagine that this wind knows your name. That is how the apocalypse reveals itself, not as a sudden fright, but as a deep, almost hypnotic call that murmurs within the human soul. John, exiled on the island of Patmos, was not seeking a vision. He was simply bearing the weight of the world on days that felt the same and nights that seemed too long for one heart to endure. But it was there, in that uncomfortable solitude, that the veil between heaven and earth began to dissolve. And when it dissolved, the first spark of the apocalypse shone. What John saw was not merely prophecy, it was a revelation of the intimate structure of existence. Heaven opened like an enormous living book. Shining words floated before him as if formed by the very breath of the divine. And every symbol, every image was a fragment of the ultimate truth. The truth about the end, but also about the beginning. In this opening chapter, we do not seek to decipher the celestial language. We seek to feel the force that accompanies it. For revelation does not want only to be understood. It wants to be experienced. It wants to make you realize that there is a silent dance between light and darkness, between what is seen and what hides behind the veil of everyday life. While the modern world tries to reduce everything to logic and predictions, the apocalypse invites us into a different rhythm, a spiritual, profound rhythm, where each symbol pulses with multiple meanings, like the beats of ancient heart. It is in this mystical atmosphere that the journey begins, because to understand the apocalypse is not to look at the end of the world. It is to look inward and see how much the inner world can also collapse and be reborn. And so, with an open heart and a mind suspended at the threshold of the unknown, we move forward. The letters to the 7 churches are like 7 doors arranged within a great invisible temple. Each door represents a spiritual state, a response of the human heart to the divine call. They are not merely messages to ancient communities. They are reflections of our own falls, fears, and awakenings. Ephesus speaks of the loss of first love, that initial flame that once burned brightly within us, but which time and routine have extinguished. Smyrna speaks of courage amid suffering, reminding us that true richness often rises from the ashes. Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. Each one is like a mirror revealing a fragment of humanity. Our temptations, our failures, our indifference, our perseverance, our wavering faith, and sometimes our unshakable faith. The letters do not accuse, they awaken. They do not punish, they illuminate. They are invitations to realign our lives with what truly matters. Each message sounds like a deep note from a sacred instrument, reverberating in the hidden chambers of the soul. And perhaps as you listen to this chapter, you may sense that one of these letters seems to speak directly to you, as if the ancient text were crossing the centuries to touch your daily life right now. And before we advance toward deeper and more symbolic revelations, I ask that you become part of this journey in an even more vivid way. If this video is moving you, like it now and subscribe to the channel. This allows us to expand this space of reflection and build together a community that seeks to understand the invisible. The vision of the throne appears like a horizon folding in on itself. John is not merely transported to a place, he is carried into a state of consciousness where time, space, and spirit intertwine. At the center of this indescribable realm stands a throne made of colors that do not exist in the earthly world. It is like looking at liquid flame or a breathing rainbow. Around it, voices echo like rivers of light, flowing in impossible directions. The 24 elders move slowly like living constellations. Their crowns shimmer with a brightness that does not come from gold, but from a glory that cannot be measured by material things. And there are creatures, beings that defy any human comprehension, with eyes that see inward and outward, able to pierce through the heart of the ages. They sing a song that seems to shape the space around them, as though music itself were a force capable of reorganizing realities. But the center of the vision is not the throne, nor the elders, nor the creatures. It is the sealed book, a book that pulses as if it had a heart of its own. 7 seals keep it closed, and no being in heaven, on earth, or under the earth is able to open it. This impossibility creates a tension that vibrates in the air, almost like spiritual electricity. John feels the weight of this helplessness, and tears escape him. For that book contains the outcome of all things, and nothing can move forward while it remains sealed. It is at this moment that the Lamb appears. He does not arrive with pomp or a burst of light. He simply is there, as if he had always been, and as if he had always been waiting to be seen. His wounds shine like celestial rubies. He is at once vulnerable and infinitely powerful, a living paradox. And when he touches the book, the seals tremble. It is as though the cosmos holds its breath. The opening of the first seal is not a simple act. It is like breaking the membrane of another plane. Deep sounds echo, and an ancient force seems to awaken. The apocalypse, until now silent and contained, begins to pulse, to move, to reveal itself. The Lamb does not merely open a book. He opens the narrative of the end and the birth of something no one yet understands. When the seals are broken, the universe seems to tremble. But when the trumpets begin to sound, it is as if the very fabric of reality is being pulled outward, revealing the hidden layers of the world. These are not mere sounds. They are primordial vibrations, as though creation itself had stored ancient memories and now released them in deep cosmic notes. The first trumpet erupts like a golden thunder. Fire and hail mingle, a living metaphor of the chaos that precedes renewal. This is not merely physical destruction. It is the purification of what has grown too rigid, like dry branches that no longer allow light to pass through. There is pain, yes, but there is also a call to profound reflection. What falls into ashes can be reborn stronger. The second trumpet sounds, and a burning mountain plunges into the sea. The image is devastating, but observe the symbolism. What is above descending into what is below. Heaven touching the deep waters. It is the meeting of consciousness and the unconscious, of the visible and the forgotten. The stirred waters reflect our fears, our guilt, our internal conflicts, and at the same time point towards something that must emerge transformed. The third trumpet reveals a flaming star falling from the heavens. Its name, Wormwood. Bitterness spreads as though the world were invited to taste the flavor of what it has long rejected. Bitterness not as punishment, but as recognition, a reminder that everything denied returns, seeking to be integrated. With the fourth trumpet, the light of the sun, moon, and stars grows dim. A gentle, almost contemplative darkness settles. This darkness is an invitation to inwardness. When the light withdraws, we are forced to see with other eyes, inward, spiritual, silent eyes. In the darkness, we hear what the light sometimes hides, the deep call of the soul. The unveiling of the apocalypse is not merely the collapse of the external world. It is the collapse of internal illusions. The trumpets remind us that before any ending, there is always a revelation. And before any revelation, there is always a transformation. In this chapter, we dive into the most intense symbols of the apocalypse. The red dragon emerges not as a fantastical creature, but as the personification of the primordial force of chaos, the force that seeks to interrupt the flow of the divine. His 7 heads and 10 horns are not random numbers. They represent the fullness of earthly power, the kind that tries to elevate itself above spirituality itself. From the darkness, the dragon casts over the earth, a beast rises. It comes up from the sea, and in the apocalypse, the sea is always the territory of the collective unconscious, of deep emotions, of hidden shadows. This beast is the manifestation of human fears taken to the extreme, of structures that control, of the false light that promises safety but demands submission. The second beast, rising from the earth, appears gentle. It speaks softly, persuades, seduces. It is the force of illusion disguised as truth. Together, the beasts represent not creatures, but systems, distorted beliefs, corrupted powers, paths that divert the spirit from its essential purpose. Yet, the vision is not confined to darkness. There is war in the heavens, a luminous, pulsating battle. Michael and his angels confront the dragon in a conflict that is not only of forces, but of meanings. It is the eternal war between consciousness and chaos, between truth and deception, and when the dragon is defeated and cast down to the earth, it is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new phase of revelation. The apocalypse shows us that every human being carries their own beasts and their own dragons, that each person fights invisible battles that define not only who we are, but who we may become. The visions of this chapter are grand because they reflect our internal battles, vast, profound, essential. The fall of Babylon is announced as the collapse of a great tower built upon illusions. Its walls are made of vanity, power, excess, ambition. When it falls, the sound is profound, like an echo traveling through ages. But its fall does not symbolize destruction alone. It symbolizes liberation. For everything that is false must crumble so that what is true can emerge. Angels proclaim the judgment, and the earth seems suspended in a moment that does not belong to time. Every being, every heart, every intention is illuminated by a light that does not judge by appearance, but by what is essential. It is as though a spiritual flame sweeps through the most hidden corners of humanity, not to condemn, but to reveal. The heavens open once more, and then appears the one who rides a white horse, whose eyes shine like fire, and whose word is a sword that cuts through illusion. He is the redeeming force, the power that commands, cleanses, restores. But after the shock of these visions, something surprising happens. Silence. A silence that does not frighten, but embraces. A silence that seems to contain the very mystery of creation. It is the silence before the final light, before the ultimate resolution. And before we move toward the conclusion, I must ask something essential. If this journey is touching your spirit, like this video now and subscribe to the channel. Do it while we stand within this sacred silence, because the final chapter reveals something you cannot miss. After the storm, the war, and the silence, something unexpected happens. A gentle light rises on the horizon. It is not abrupt or aggressive. It grows like a dawn that awakens without haste. And then the New Jerusalem appears, not descending like an ordinary city, but like a living poem woven from precious stones and crystalline light. It shines as though it were built from humanity's purest dreams. Its streets seem made of liquid reflections, and its walls glow as if they held ancient memories. The city has no temple because the divine is present in everything. There is no sun or moon because the very essence of light permeates every atom of the place. The New Jerusalem is not merely a destination. It is a state of being, a promise that after all chaos, there is renewal. After all pain, there is healing. After every ending, there is a new beginning that shines brighter because it was earned through consciousness, courage, and transformation. John contemplates this vision not as one observing a distant scene, but as someone recognizing something familiar, as though this city were in some way inscribed within each of us. The promise of the apocalypse is not just the end of the world. It is the end of what prevents the world from flourishing. And the voice that echoes from the throne declares, "Behold, I make all things new." Not some, not a few, all. The narrative closes not with destruction, but with hope. Not with fear, but with awakening. The apocalypse, so feared, reveals itself as a great spiral of renewal, an invitation to rebuild what we are with more light, more truth, more spirit.